Welcome to another episode of Wild West Weekend. We got Brion and Bindi here, and we are on I-70 in Utah, eastern Utah, all the way out to mile marker 116. Ate some lunch here at the rest area. Our destination, an old copper mine known as Copper Globe. This should be fun. We're going to parallel the freeway for just a minute and then drop down in towards Jonathon Flat.
Here we go again. Trying hard, but you wanna be my friend. Ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. Here we go again. Call my bluff, I'ma be here till the end. I'm the one you ride, I'm the one you ride to. If you don't
If you're ever out this way doing some exploring, this is a great place to camp. Get your trailer down in here. There's some parking. Take your ATVs or your UTVs out. Lots of trails. There's the Devil's Racetrack. There's the trail out here to Copper Globe. Plenty of recreation out through here.
I can help you out. I can help you out. I can help you out. Here we go again. Time is up and I'm calling up my friends. Ain't no wonder why, ain't no one to ride to. Here we go again. Call me up and you wanna be my friend. I'm the one you ride, I'm the one you ride to. If you don't wanna change.
Several years ago, my dad and I tried to get down in here and it was rough. We were not able to make it in and turn around. Just due to the angles, and the truck wasn't capable enough. But as you can see right through here, they've come down in here with a dozer. And made this a lot easier traveling.
Look, if you don't wanna,
Some of my favorite roads in the whole world are the ones that run to the bottom of the washes. Like this one.
wanna change, I can help you out. 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 Here we go again. Trying hard, but you wanna be my friend. Ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. Here we go again. Call my bluff, I'ma be here till the end. I'm the one you ride, I'm the one you ride to. If you don't wanna change, ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. If you don't wanna change.
Henry Jensen of Mayfield, Utah, was found dead December 16, 1890. Blood and trails in the snow showed he had walked and crawled a mile after he was shot. He still held to his rifle, herding sheep for the Whitbecks. It is said the robbers' roost warned all sheep to stay out of this herding mesa. He was carried out on a pack horse to the brink of Eagle Canyon to a buckboard 7 miles. He was found by Will and Otto Whitbeck. Otto was killed in the Lopez Massacre west of Utah Lake, 1913. Let's stop the adventure right there for a minute and jump over here to the Mayfield Cemetery, the south end of southern Sanpete County in Utah. This quiet little cemetery is where Henry Jensen is buried. After his murder out on the San Rafael Swell and a lengthy process to get him home, he was laid to rest right here in this quiet little cemetery. There's not a whole lot known about Henry Jensen. I looked him up on Family Search and can tell you that he was born in Denmark to Henrik Jensen. He immigrated to Sanpete County with the Mormon pioneers. It sounds like he had a tough life trying to provide for his family as a sheep herder. They were extremely poor, and his death must have been hard on the family. It appears very little is known about his murder. It is presumed that he was killed by the Wild Bunch for getting too close to their Robbers' Roost hideout out in the San Rafael Swell. The only reference to that I can find are these small handwritten notes by a friend of his, is held written many years after his death. The words that he wrote in his journal, or these memoirs about Henry, were written on this memorial in the desert, almost word for word. Emery County's historical site, Copper Globe Mine, Heritage Preservation Project, 92999. So as we arrived at Copper Globe, we parked in the main turnaround spot for parking. We headed a little bit to the east, and this stuff was right off to the side of the road as we were walking towards the first building that we could see. So that first building is right here that you can see Bindi at. It was in pretty rough shape. It has collapsed. It was not like that 20 years ago when I was here before. It's still really cool. Lots of stuff to see. Now remember that this was mined back in 1900 to 1905, but then there was a lot of mining activity in the 50s and 60s where they still made some attempts to find some things here. So not everything is from the turn of the century. There is some older stuff that's been put in here. Plus, who knows what kind of people have been here camping and brought stuff in. There's an old fire pit that was nearby. I'm sure that has been used by campers and explorers over the years. I thought this was cool. Those were some cut up old Coleman gas cans. Now this building here is the second smelter that they built after the first one failed. So it still has a roof over it, and looking down here, this was what they were attempting to smelt the ore down into. They had this grand idea that they could smelt the ore down into something of higher quality and reduce the cost of having to haul all of the raw ore out. Now this pile of rocks here are the remains of the first smelter that didn't work, and this is a huge pile of wood that they had stacked up ready to fuel the fire for the smelters. This pile was 10 to 15 feet high and about 75 feet long. Now we're looking down into one of the mine shafts. Obviously they've covered it up so that you can't get down in there. That's Bindi standing next to a cool looking pole that was cut off in the ground. Now this building was right next to the log pile, and I don't know what its purpose was. There's not much left of it. Just some old tin, and it was never built very sturdy in the first place. From what I can tell, the wind was blowing pretty hard there. I'm not sure what this pile of rocks was for. Thought it was interesting. This was one of the more sturdy structures that were standing. Again, they're using some old gas can metal to help block the wind from blowing. Now you're looking down into the only vertical shaft that I could see. It was fenced off, obviously, for our safety. Here's the door into that more sturdy building. Pretty gross inside. This building here was my favorite one on site. curtains hanging on the windows. There was a nice fireplace and a mantle with some rocks to keep the heat in. It was a dugout style building, so it's buried into the ground a little bit. That's looking down into the chimney. And that's the roof, dirt covered roof, and then looking back into the copper globe. This was just a cool rock that I saw. Here's one of the other mine shafts. This was one that just kind of shot back underneath. Almost it looked like it went underneath the giant rock dome. I like that. And of course Bindi and I have got to stop and play ball. The whole reason she comes on these adventures is so that we can chase that little red ball around.
Well, if you've never been to Copper Globe, after this video, you've got a pretty good idea of what you'll be up against when you come out. The road has been improved tremendously from the last time I was here. Sandy, a little bit wet. The roads could be a whole lot worse depending on weather conditions, so be prepared. You still need a high clearance vehicle, and it's about 5.5 miles from the freeway to Copper Globe. That whole time I was in Copper Globe, there was horse tracks everywhere. I could even tell that they had a couple of colts with them. But as we were driving out of here, I saw the horses, and I think if I sneak over this ridge, we may get a good view of 3 of them. Right here, that one has kind of got her eye on me. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. She just sounded the alarm. So that was pretty cool. Horses out in the middle of that flat grazing right before it got dark. There they are, they're still out there watching me. They sure are neat to watch out in the wild. I'm glad we got to see those. My dad definitely wouldn't have considered it a trip to Copper Globe if I hadn't have found the horses for him. So there you go, Dad.
Well, as Bindi and I ride off into the sunset. Okay, I'm just kidding. We're actually heading north in this picture. We're in the west, the Wild West, and it's a weekend. So it's Wild West weekend. And we just concluded another episode We sure do appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for more great adventures by Bindi and Brion on Wild West Weekend.